Broad to subtle. When designing, I use this way of thinking that stems from a drawing background. One approach to drawing, say the human figure, is to first look for the big abstract shapes or broad angles. Then you go deeper and start thinking about the major muscles and bone structures, getting a little bit more refined. Then you refine even more as you think about minor muscles and joints and about facial features. When approaching design, you can use this same philosophy. It gives yourself a framework from which you can more easily get things started, especially when you are staring at a blank layout screen. Number 1. Start broad. What are the main areas that you're going to have in your layout? What are those shapes? Maybe you even start out using a certain grid. These are broad strokes. Thinking from a broader point of view, you can place the primary areas of importance. How could this apply to designing the Scotus Robus site? The general or broad layout for the Scotus Robus site has the navigation and branding area on the left that is always present on larger screens, and then the main content area on the right. I wanted this to remain consistent throughout most pages on the site. Looking at the broad layout on the course index page, there's really just two primary sections. An intro header section. This is where I'm essentially pitching the course via text and a planned trailer. And then below that is the course cascade or grid. I wanted the intro at the top as a lead-in, but I wanted it to not be too large so courses could still be seen above the fold, giving people a clear path to them. Say if they wanted to quickly skip the intro area and just get to looking at what they really wanted, the courses. Following a similar pattern for the course page, the two primary sections are the intro header area and then the lesson rows. Same idea here, where I wanted a lead-in to the course via text and a planned trailer, but in addition, to ensure that getting to the lessons was clear and didn't require much scrolling. The video lesson page introduces a slightly different layout, specifically to give students a full page experience for their learning, since this page would be where students are most of the time, so I wanted to make use of the space as best as I could. The broad strokes are the video pane, the header navigation supplementary material area, the transcript area, and then when open, the contents sidebar. These 4 blocks specifically aim to satisfy the core wants that I had as a potential customer, as I discussed previously in the lesson on anticipating your customers' wants. Number 2, move through each area. As you start to get those big pieces in place, it becomes easier then to think about particular shapes and what goes in them and their characteristics. You begin asking questions like, what size fonts should I use? What colors should I use here? Should we have some sort of image or illustration? Let's continue with the Scotus Robus website with where we left off after looking at designs from a broad perspective. After the core areas have been established, I can start to think about each particular area and what goes in them. For the side navigation branding area, with my primary goal being to relate the personal aspect of the site, it includes a handwritten logo, profile image of myself, along with links to the primary areas of the site, which, along with the courses, gives people a way to get to know more about me if they want. Looking at the course index page, I start to think about what text I'm going to have and the hierarchy of the text. Then, what each particular course item will look like and its primary calls to action. Looking at the course page, in the same vein, I'm thinking about the hierarchy of type, how to bring interest into the intro area, and then what should go into each lesson row. The lesson number, whether it's free or not, aiming to show as little as possible while getting across the primary points that are important for the user to make a decision, basically whether to click it or not. In addition, I'm considering how can I include an unobtrusive but an obvious call to action for buying the course, for those that are interested. Looking at the video lesson page, I begin to fill in the particulars. What does the video look like before being played? What is the hierarchy of the text on the page? What is the basic layout of the contents bar? I again am considering, for those users who come and watch free videos, how can I include an unobtrusive but obvious call to action for buying the course for those who are interested. Number 3, interactions and states. In the beginning, nor even at the second phase, am I thinking about hover states and every possible flow or path. I'm primarily concerned with the interface's initial state, or the happy path. Once, however, you've gotten most of the pieces in place, you can start to think about all the little details of all the little interactions the user might take. What happens when they hover or click on this particular element? What happens when they enter in wrong information? What does this drop-down look like? Again, let's take a look at the Scottish Rabbis site. On the course index page, we have the course items or cards. If a user visited the site as a guest or is not logged in, they will see a different course card where there is a call to action to watch for free as well as an option to buy. For users who are logged in and have purchased a course, they will see that any purchased courses are in their library with a call to action to continue. On the course page, the lesson rows will have different states depending on if you are logged in, have purchased a course, and whether you've watched it or not. On the lesson video page, one example is the content sidebar. We need to consider all the different states. The default state, its hover state, whether it's been watched or not for logged in users, and whether it's currently playing. This approach of thinking broad to narrow can be an iterative process. As with drawing, and as the designer circle guides us to do, we can circle back around. We can step back and start again from a broader perspective, and then slowly hone in on any particular area that might need some more finessing. We move from the broad to the subtle, continually making our designs clearer and addressing all the flows and states that we can think of.